You know, sometimes a collection of pictures can tell a story so much more powerfully than words ever could. In this explainer, we're going to look at a series of photographs from all over the world. And when you see them together, they tell this single unified story of a world brought to a sudden, shocking halt. Okay, let's just dive right in. We start with this incredibly surreal image out of Germany. It's a modern, bright red train, a symbol of our daily routine, of everything being on time and connected. And it is just stopped dead in its tracks by floodwaters. Right there, that's the perfect visual for what we're exploring. Our orderly human-made world colliding with an unstoppable force of nature. And that idea, that collision, it leads us straight into our first theme, just how fragile all the systems we count on every single day really are. What's so wild about this slide is how it just erases distance. On the left, you've got a highway in Portugal that has literally been chewed up by the water. And on the right, halfway across the world in Indonesia, a raging river has torn a bridge apart. It really drives home the point that this isn't some local problem. The very foundations of our modern life, they share this common vulnerability, no matter where on Earth you are. And this is what happens when those systems fail. It captures the sheer chaos of it all. This isn't just a flooded tunnel in Spain. Look at it. It's like a twisted sculpture of mangled cars and debris. The force of the water turned these symbols of our freedom and movement into a total roadblock. It's a complete breakdown of order. And the threat doesn't just come from rising water. Sometimes the very ground beneath our feet just gives way. Here in Sicily, a landslide has literally carved away a piece of the town, leaving these homes just teetering on the edge of a brand new cliff. It's like nature isn't just interrupting our world, it's actively taking it back. But the violent impact, that's just the beginning. What comes after is often this eerie, silent stillness. This is the aftermath. This is the moment when time itself feels like it just stops. And here, time is a literal casualty. This simple wall clock in Indonesia just spattered with mud, its hands frozen at 10 past 10. It's such a powerful symbol, isn't it? The disaster didn't just knock down walls, it captured a single moment in amber, forever marking the exact instant that normal life just ended. And we see the same idea, this freezing of time, across totally different types of disasters. So we go from the thick mud of a flood to the searing heat of a wildfire in California. The force couldn't be more different, but the outcome, hauntingly similar. The face of this clock is warped, melted by the heat, its numbers all distorted. Again, time itself has been wounded. Which kind of forces us to ask, right? When the chaos is over and time stands still, what is left? Well, this is what's left. A vast, silent, and deeply unsettling new landscape. This was a neighborhood in New Orleans. Streets, cars, homes, entire lives. Just gone. Hidden beneath this dark, still water. Every one of those rooftops is a marker for a family, a home, that's now part of this submerged world. The sheer scale of the quiet loss is just staggering. And just look at the scale of the debris here in Aceh, Indonesia. It's a literal sea of splintered trees and wreckage that has completely redrawn the map. And yet, right in the middle of it all, a single mosque is still standing, like an island of structure in an ocean of complete destruction. So all of this really brings us to the raw power of the two elemental forces we see again and again in these images, the overwhelming force of water and the relentless hunger of fire. First, let's talk about fire. I mean, fire on a planetary scale. This massive wildfire up in Alberta, Canada, it is so huge, it's generating so much energy that it's creating its own weather, its own storm clouds. This is an apocalyptic force of nature, powerful enough to literally blot out the sun and change the sky itself. And then you have the crushing weight of water and earth. You see this lone man in Sri Lanka, and he's trying to dig out a public bus that's just completely encased in mud. When you see his individual effort against the sheer mass of that mudslide, it's almost impossible to comprehend. It's a perfect visual of a nearly impossible task. And what's so tragic is that these forces, they don't discriminate at all. On the left, held in someone's hand, are the charred remains of a monkey after a fire in Brazil. On the right, a child's doll half buried in the mud in Indonesia. When you put them side by side like this, it's just heartbreaking. They speak for the most innocent, the most voiceless victims of all of this. But all this devastation, that's not the whole story. Because inside every one of these events, there's always the human story. So let's shift our focus now, from the disaster itself to the people who were caught right in the middle of it, and their struggle to survive. This is where recovery starts, not with big machinery or some grand plan, but with these quiet individual acts of pure determination. This woman in Indonesia, she's waist deep in this thick, heavy mud, just painstakingly clearing out her home by hand. It's an image of incredible strength and resilience in the face of absolute ruin. And it's in these moments of total crisis that you really see what people value most. This man in Argentina, he's running through smoke and debris, and he's not carrying possessions. He's got his dog clutched in his arms. It's this instinctive act of compassion that just shows you what's really worth saving when everything else is about to be lost. And that instinct to protect, maybe it's never stronger than when it's for the next generation. Here, in the flooded streets of New Orleans, you see a family so carefully transferring their baby in a carrier from one swamped car to another. Their entire world has been turned upside down, but their absolute focus, it's on this one precious life. It's just a profound symbol of hope. And that brings us to this final image, which, wow, it really kind of sums up our complicated role in all this. It's a family in South Africa, and they're silhouetted against this terrifying wall of fire on a hillside. Are they watching it? Are they fleeing from it? We don't really know. They are observers, victims, and survivors, all at the same time, captured in one unforgettable photo. So when you look at all these images together, from Germany to Indonesia, from the US to South Africa, you see this one shared story. It's a story of an eruption and loss, but also of resilience. And it leaves us with one crucial question to think about. Are these pictures a warning for our future? Or are they just a memory of a world that's already changing right before our eyes?